Spirit filling us with love. Feel His Spirit filling us with love. It's a river flowing through the heart, uniting souls apart, rising from above, filling us with love. You can feel the Spirit filling us with love. Feel His Spirit filling us with love. Feel His Spirit filling us with love. In a whisper, calling at the door. Feel the Spirit's door, rising like a dove, filling us with love. You can feel the Spirit filling us with love. He is filling us with love. You can feel the Spirit filling us. We awaken. Oh, He's right by our side. We are shaken. Oh, now knowing we just can't hide. Then that light shines round. We fall down, cannot see it all. But our hearts so glad to know Him. Listen, we must come when we hear His call. You can feel the Spirit filling us with love. He is filling us with love. You can feel the Spirit filling us. Feel His Spirit filling us with love. Oh, He's filling us with love. Feel His Spirit filling us with love. Filling us with love. It's a river flowing through the heart, uniting souls apart, rising from above, filling us with love. You can feel the Spirit filling us. For He is filling us with love. You can feel the Spirit filling us. Feel the Spirit filling us. You can feel the Spirit filling us. You can feel the Spirit filling us. Fill us with love.
These days, anyone can have a side hustle.
Just to know it, Yahuah. to become something better than the old me. I'm ready to learn about the new me. My Father. It says I'm seeking day and night. I will search for you day and night. I wanna be, I want to know you. I wanna be like you. The steps of the righteous are ordered by you. Let me know you. I will see. Let him see. I'll seek you.
Shalom to you all, Mashpaka. It is wonderful to be here on this evening and to see each and every one of you. Greetings in the name of Yahuah. We give him praise, honor, and esteem for allowing us to be assembled in his name yet one more time. I want to apologize for the late start. Was a little bit late getting started there, a few minutes past the hour. Didn't realize that it had gotten so late. The time had gotten away from me a little bit. Nonetheless, we're here, excited to be here, and looking forward to picking up where we left off in the book of Galatians. On this evening, we'll be going to chapter 2, but we will pick up by reading from the latter part of chapter 1 for the purpose of context and continuity. And so I want to take a moment here to greet all of my Mashpaka, the family here on Zoom, also the family on YouTube, and to the family who may be listening to us via Facebook Live. I want to say Shalom Mashpaka. Just want to take a moment to greet our Akut Yolanda. Shalom to you, Akut, to you and to Aki Yaram Yahu. It is wonderful to see you, family. Also want to say Shalom to Akut Yanat. Great to see you, Akut, as always. And to my Aki Damon, I say Shalom to you, Aki. To Aki Matat Yahu, Shalom to you, Aki, also. And to my Akut Bernice, greetings to you, Akut, in Yahuwah's name. To my Aki U Street Lab, I say Shalom to you, Aki. Wonderful to see you as always, my Aki. And of course to Akut Telesia, I say Shalom to you. And also to Akut Cheryl, Shalom, Mashpaka. I think today precisely marks the 1 year anniversary of us having the wonderful opportunity of meeting and now fellowshipping with Akut Cheryl and Akut Yanat. It's been, I think today marks that 1 year, if I recall correctly, the post from yesterday. So it's wonderful, wonderful to see you, family, and to know that Yahuah has brought us this far. So praise Yahuah. Also want to say shalom to Aki Franklin on this evening. Great to see you, Aki, as always, and to Akut Carmen, and also Akut Sharon. 1 year also this month, not sure exactly what date. And Akut Sharia, shalom to you and to Aki Rob, family. Many of us have been fellowshipping for quite some time. In some cases we have lost track of the years, in some cases perhaps. It's a wonderful thing though, and so we give Yahuah praise for that. We are family, halahu Yahuah, and so we praise Yahuah for the opportunity. Also want to say shalom to our family joining us via YouTube on this evening. Know that not everyone's names may be represented on the screen there on YouTube. I'm trying to get to it, but let me just take a moment to say shalom to Akut G. Akut G Livia, I want to say shalom to you, Akut. Wonderful to see you as always. To Akut Angela, and also to Akut Carmen, Akut Anitra, shalom to you, Mashbaka. To Akiya Hakab and Akut Sharia, I want to say shalom to you, servants of Yahuah. And to everyone else who are listening, whose names are not represented on the screen, we greet you on this evening. We say shalom, greetings in the great name of Yahuah. All right, so we're going to prepare to begin here on this evening. We're going to open up in prayer. And family, we're going to want to say also shalom to Akut Al Yashaba. I did not, maybe, I did not see you on the screen there, Akut. I did see your text just now, but I don't think I saw your name on the screen. I do see it now. Maybe you gotten a little bit late or something. Okay. Okay. That explains it. That explains it. Because I looked and I saw your text and I thought, well, I didn't see you when I was greeting everyone. All right. So shalom, mashbaka. Aki Keith, shalom to you, Aki. I see you just came in. Shalom, Aki. All right. Okay, so we're gonna get started, family. Again, we're going through the book of Galatians, and what we are doing is, well, we're studying the book of Galatians, and we started off in that way by reading and rereading and reading, and so now we're going through the book. We're going through the letter, because it's really a letter. So we're going to pick up from there momentarily, but let us open up in prayer as we prepare to begin. Abba Yahuah, we thank and praise you for this time. Father, we give you praise, honor, and esteem for your greatness, for your power, for your steadfastness, Yahuah, for your word. You are the same yesterday, today, and forevermore. Father, we may change, we may waver, but you stand fast. You are firm. Abba Yahuah, we pray for your barakah upon this time. We pray, Father, that you would open our eyes to your word. Give us understanding that only you can give. Expose lies and reveal truth. I pray, Yahuah, that we would be strengthened by your word, that every person here on this evening would be refreshed by your word. We pray, Yahuah, that you would barak our households. Barak our children, barak our hearts and minds. Father, may we find true shalom in you. Have your way in our midst, have your way in our lives. Do this, we pray. In Yahusha's name. Amen. Praise Yahuah. Halal Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. Praise Yahuah. All right. So what we're going to do here, Mashbaka, is I'm going to be putting the scriptures on the screen so everyone can see. And so let me just get that together. Okay, let's see. I'm gonna get it together here momentarily. Bear with me, please, while we sort that through. Okay. Where is my scriptural text? All right, gotta go back and find it. All right, bear with me here for a second. I did have it open, but I lost it. I'll find it. Here we go. Okay, so now I just have to put it on Zoom. Yeah, so we're in the book of Galatians, and if you remember from our last foundational facts fellowship, one of the things that we saw as we began to study chapter 1, one of the things that we saw, and we began to see that as we began to read and to reread, but one of the things that we observed, well, we observed two things that were distinct, two things that really stood out. Really, we observed more than two things. We pointed out the error in translation and pointed out how they go about to promote the doctrine of the Trinity, the idea of the Trinity, by using conjunctions like and so on. So for example, in chapter 1 verse 1, where it says Shahul, an emissary or a servant, not from men nor by a man, but by Yahusha HaMashiach, and watch this now, and Elohim the Father who raised him from the dead. So there you see the use of the conjunction and the only reason why that conjunction is there is to bring separation, to create separation between Abba Yahuah and Mashiach Yahuah. Okay, the only reason why the conjunction is there is to create separation between Abba Yahuah and Mashiach Yahuah. Because in reality, according to the scriptures, we know that according to the scriptures, Abba Yahuah and Mashiach Yahuah is indeed Akkad, or is in fact the same person, the same Al, the same Elohim. Okay? But what the Christian translators do, they use conjunctions like and they use conjunctions like but. They use the conjunction but to shed a negative light on the Torah. Okay, to tell you that Torah is no more. And you'll find that throughout some of the writings, you know, the translations you see. For example, in the book of Yahuah, I believe in chapter 10, where they say, for example, that Torah came through Masha, but, and they said grace and truth comes through Mashiach. Well, the word ain't grace, and there should be no but there. And we did a study before where we titled it "Get Your Butt Out the Way," talking to the Christian translators. And so they use conjunctions like these to corrupt the message, Yahuwah's message to his people. And so that's one of the things that we observed when we went through chapter 1. Another thing that we observed, so we saw there and we looked at the fact that Yahuwah is Akkad, that there is no Savior beside Yahuwah. We looked at that fact briefly because it presented itself in the text. The other thing we saw as we read through chapter 1, as we began to study chapter 1, the other thing we noticed is that it has a lot to do with, we see from the introduction that the letter is really all about redemption or salvation. Redemption / salvation. You can use either or. You can use the word redemption or you can use the word salvation. They're really interchangeable. Now the word redemption or to redeem, it is a financial term, right? It's a financial terminology. Meaning then that a financial transaction took place. A financial transaction took place. In order for us to be redeemed, a price had to be paid. So a financial transaction was necessary, right? But this financial, the currency was not silver and neither was it gold. The currency was not barley and neither was it flour. The currency, it was not corn, it was not grain, but instead, what was the currency, family? And we looked at that in our last study. The currency was blood. The currency was blood. You see, there was no other currency that could satisfy the debt. And the currency was blood, and not just any blood, but the blood of Yahuah, or the blood of Yahuah Yahusha, Yahuah Hamashiach. Okay? So the currency was blood. So from the beginning, we see that the message of the book of Galatians is really about redemption or salvation. Redemption slash salvation. You see. And we looked at the fact that the currency was blood. Okay? Now, we're going to pick up here this evening, and we're going to continue on now, because there's a reason why Shaul is writing the letter, and we saw that already. We saw that even beginning in chapter 2, in chapter 1, we saw that. As a matter of fact, I'm going to review it very quickly because it exposes the reason why the letter was written. Okay? Because he asked them. Let me see what verse it's in. He's going to come to chapter 3 where you see where he asked them outright. But you begin to see, get a glimpse of why the letter, why it was necessary for him to write this letter. Okay? Now in verse 8 of chapter 1, he cautions them. He is cautioning them. Now he hasn't yet gotten directly to the point of the letter, but it's giving us a hint as to why the letter was necessary. So in verse 8, he cautions them. Okay? As a matter of fact, verse 7. Let me begin at verse 6. He says, I marvel that you are so quickly. We looked at that word. We talked about that word last time we were studying, and we see the word readily used, readily, but really the quickly it gives you better understanding of what he is saying. The word quickly gives you a better understanding of what is truly being said. So Shaul says, I marvel that you are so quickly turning away from him who called you in the favor of Hamashiach to a different good news, to a different Bashurah. I marvel that you are so quickly turning away from him who called you in the favor of Hamashiach to a different good news. So he said, I marvel that you are turning away from Yahuah. You see, and you're turning away to a different Bashurah, a different Bashurah, and I marvel. You see, they had turned to the truth, but now they are turning away from the truth. The question is, why are they turning away from the truth? And that's what we're going to see, and it's going to reveal the real purpose and the real message of the book of Galatians when we're able to answer that question. So the question is, why are they turning away from the Bashurah to a different Bashurah, and who is it that is persuading them to turn away from the Bashurah of Hamashiach, and what is the argument being used to cause them to turn away from this Bashurah to this other Bashurah, okay, which is a fake Bashurah, a false Bashurah, a false good news. What is that message? What was the message that was being conveyed? So we're looking to answer all of these questions as we study. So he says, I marvel that you are so quickly turning away from him who called you in the favor of Hamashiach to a different Bashurah, a different good news, which is not another. Watch this now. So this news that you're turning away to, it's actually nothing new, is what Shaul is saying. This is nothing new, family. Listen, Mashbakai said, this thing that you think is something new and original and brilliant and whatever, it's actually nothing new, my friend. It's nothing new. It says, which is not another, only there are some who are troubling you and wishing to pervert the Bashara of Hamashiach, the good news of Hamashiach. What he is saying, they're wishing to pervert the good news that your salvation can only come through Hamashiach. These people, whoever they are, they're telling these people, the scattered, the dispersed of Yasharal living in Galatia, they're telling them that your way to salvation is not through Hamashiach. That was the message. That is the message that they're conveying to the people, the scattered, the dispersed of Yasharal, that your salvation is not through Hamashiach. Shaul is saying to them, listen, family, this is nothing new. That this thing that you think is so brilliant, and these men that are so charismatic and they sound so good, their message is not new. It's an old trick, my friend, is what he is telling them. So he says, which is not another, only there are some who are troubling you and wishing to pervert the good news of Hamashiach. You see, so sounds familiar? Sounds familiar? We have a lot of people doing that today. And those very same people, they're anti-Shahul. Any surprise there? That the one who preaches against Mashiach would be against Shahul, because all Shahul does is lift up the fact that Yahuah is our Savior. That Yahuah, it is Yahuah's blood that redeems us. But you have men who want to still take credit for themselves. They want to credit themselves with the saving of the people of Yasharal. And so any mention that it is Yahuah that saves, that it is Yahuah that delivers, is offensive to them. And so what they do is they work to build the following to themselves. Right? They work to build their own esteem. They do not want Yahuah to get the esteem. They're working to build their own esteem. And that's why they're anti-Mashiach. Because the moment that you say that there is a Mashiach, that Yahuah came to deliver us himself, it puts the priest out of business. It puts the Kahanim out of business. You see, that's why the veil was rent. You see, that's why the veil was torn. Yahuah says, your service for salvation, for the redemption of my people is no longer needed. You no longer need to go behind the veil on their behalf. But now I am giving them direct passage to me. They no longer have to come to you and come through you. I am their high priest, you see, because quite frankly, you are no better than they are. You see, you are just as flawed as they are. So why bother to keep a flawed middleman in the way? You see, you're so flawed that I have to have them put bells on the borders of your garment, so that when you come into me and you're not right and you're struck dead, and they don't hear the bells ringing, they know you've been struck dead, and they know not to come in here lest they be killed also. And so they pull you out by the rope that's tied around your waist. So the message of Mashiach puts the self-seeking individual out of business. And so the self-seeking individual have got to work to dethrone Mashiach, or so he thinks, to try to dethrone Mashiach. And anybody who does that, what are they? Who are they? They are Shatan. Anybody who speaks against Mashiach is Shatan. You are an adversary to Yahuah. You are Shatan. You are an adversary to the truth. You see, and there are many Shatans out there. Many Shatans out there. A lot of people like to talk about, the white man is Shatan. Yeah, that's true too. But how about people of Yasharal that's actually Shatan? It's not limited to the white man. You see? But you're an adversary to Yahuah. You're an adversary to the work of Yahuah. You're an adversary to the message of Yahuah. You're an adversary to his truth. And you're an adversary to his people. Because you really don't care about the people. What you care about is, in many cases, these men who are out there with this anti-Mashiach message, you'll also find that they're telling you to send them your tithes. Oh, you need to send me your tithes. I am the tribe of Levi, they say. You need to send me your tithes. And the tribe's name ain't Levi, it's Louis. But that's what they'll say. I am the tribe of Levi. You need to send me your tithes. I am the tribe of Judah. You need to send me your tithes. They'll tell you. You see what's happening? They want to keep. Now, the tithe was never money, as we know. But these fools are pimps. You see, they're pimps. No different than the pastors in the pews. You see? That's all they're doing. Pimping, trying to pimp the people of Yahuah. That's all they're doing. And so they're trying to build esteem for themselves. Yeah, give them a bowl of fruit. You know what? Unfortunately, they'll throw it at you. You see, they wouldn't know how to appreciate it. You see. Yeah. All right. Now, so he says, however, now, so which is not another. So this thing that you're hearing, you're hearing Yasharal, is not a no new message. Only there are some who are troubling you and wishing to pervert the good news of Mashiach. Now, verse 8, however, even if we, or a messenger out of Shamayim, even if a messenger out of Shamayim should come down and tell you that there is no Mashiach, do not buy it, is what Shaul is saying to them. Even if a messenger out of Shamayim should come down and declare to you that there is no Mashiach, that one is false. You see, that one is fallen. You see, that one is a son of Belial, a son of disobedience. However, even if we are a messenger out of Shamayim bring a good news to you beside what we announce to you, let him be accursed. As we have said before, and now I say again, if anyone brings a good news to you beside what you have received, let him be accursed. For do I now persuade men or Alachim? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still pleased men, I should not be a servant of Mashiach. You know, I've had quite a few people over the years, people that are out there teaching and stuff like that, and they've sent me messages. Sometimes they send me messages, sometimes they make comments, but they've sent me messages asking me not to talk, saying Mashiach is fake, the message of Mashiach is fake, and the writings of Shaul is fake, and all kinds of stuff. I've had encounters with quite a few of them, you know, and when I don't respond to them, because they're more popular than I am, quite frankly. They're quite more popular than I am. They're more known than I am, you know, and they feel like, you know, little me is if I come on board with them, then it will be easier for them, I guess. You know, I wouldn't be that little annoying little thing in the corner, you know, raising these questions and maybe preventing a few more people from joining them, you know. So they've reached out to me over the years and they've asked me to conform, but I'm not here to please men. And that's what Shaul is saying. I'm not here to please men, you see. So he says, as we have said before, and now I say again, if anyone brings a good news to you beside what you have received, let him be accursed. For do I now persuade men or Alahim? Or do I seek to please men? For if I still pleased men, I should not be a servant of Mashiach. All right. So we see from chapter 1 that the message of Galatians, chapter 1 is the introduction of the letter, family. Every letter has an introduction. If you're going to write a letter properly, then in the first paragraph, you should get a feel. If you're going to write anything, a letter, an article, a book, or something, there's got to be an introductory passage. The reader should be able to get some kind of clue as to what it is that you want to talk about, right? And so that's exactly what Shaul did here. This is this is his introduction to his letter, and so we are getting a feel for what is on his heart, what it is that he need to talk to the people about. And so what we're seeing is that he's talking about redemption / salvation, and the fact that we are redeemed by the blood of Yahuah HaMashiach, by Yahuah HaMashiach. I say, I'm not saying, when I say Yahuah HaMashiach, I could say Yahusha HaMashiach, but I say it that way. I say Yahuah HaMashiach so people understand truly that Yahusha is no other than Yahuah himself. Okay? Now, all right. So, all right. Now, so he goes into a little bit about himself here in chapter 1. He talks about his conversion because he was very devout in his belief. He was totally against Hamashiach. He fought against Yahusha, which means then that he fought against Yahuah. He was very devout, and he was more dedicated than many of his own tribe, he pointed out. And then he went into talking about his encounter. And he talked about how he finally visited Kapha and some of the others. And he met Yahuah, the brother of the sovereign. And he spent some time. He went to Arabia, and then he spent some time in Jerusalem, right? He talked about all of that, you see. And basically what his experience was during his early coming in to a knowledge of the truth, because he thought that he was walking in truth, but he actually was not. And so he recounted that in the introduction of his letter as he write to the Galatians. In other words, he was sharing with them his testimony. Okay, now we go to chapter 2 as we get ready to go deeper into the matter. So he says, then after 14 years, I again went to Jerusalem with Barnabas, taking Titus along too. So what happened now, after his conversion, he did quite a bit of traveling. He took some time to himself to seek Yahuah. And he had gone to Jerusalem after, I believe it was 3 years or something. He spent a couple of weeks there, and then he left and he went to some other places. And then finally, after another 14 years, he went back to Jerusalem, right? And then after 14 years, I again went up to Jerusalem with Barnabas, taking Titus along too. Okay, Titus, that's Titus from the book of Titus. And I went up by revelation and laid before them that good news which I proclaim among the Gentiles. Now the Gentiles here is in reference to who? The 10 tribes, right? The house of Yahuah, aka the house of Ephraim. Okay. Now there are two types of Gentiles that we read about in scripture. You have the Gentiles, the divorced house of Yasharal, and you also have the heathen Gentile, right? So when Yahuah divorced the house of Ephraim, they became Gentile. They became strangers. The word Gentile means strangers, right? Also means divorced. Also means put behind. In the case of Yasharal, in the case of the house of Ephraim or the house of Yahuah, they are the ones that were put behind. They are the ones that were divorced. Yahuah never divorced the heathen Gentiles because they were never a part of him. Because when he sought for a man, only one man responded, and that man was Abraham. And out of Abraham, the house was chosen. The nation was chosen, right? So now he says, and so he took Titus with him, and I went up by revelation and laid before them that good news, which I proclaim among the Gentiles, but separately to those who were esteemed, lest somehow I run or had run in vain. Right, so he proclaimed it. He proclaimed the Basharad, which is the good news that Yahuah came to redeem us by his blood. He proclaimed it to the scattered people of Yasharal, but he paid special attention to those who really was seeking for the truth. That's why he was taught. That's what he's talking about when he talk about to those esteemed. Okay, to those in the way, he paid special attention. To those who have crossed back over to believe in Yahuah Hamashiach, Yahuah being their salvation, their deliverance, that they no longer needed the blood of goats and anything else to redeem them, but Yahuah, it is Yahuah's blood that redeemed, right? And so he paid special attention to them. He made sure that he tried to convey that message to them, because he knew that there was competition out there. He knew that there were people that were spreading falsehood, and he wanted them to grasp it. Okay? Now he says, but not even Titus, who was with me, though a Greek. Now don't get confused by that. Don't get confused by that. Though a Greek. Even though Shaul here classified Titus as a Greek, doesn't mean that he was actually a European Greek. Titus was a son of Yasharal, but he was born in Greece. And you'll find that throughout the writings, that even when you go back to the book of Maccabeus, you'll find that when the people of Yasharal, they're born in different places, they're often identified by the places they were born. It doesn't mean that they were actual strangers, though nonetheless, you do have instances of total strangers who cross over, who now become a part of Yasharal and is accepted by Yahuah and is now Yasharal. So that does happen too. But Titus was a son of Yasharal. Okay, but not even Titus, who was with me, though a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. Okay, now why? So here it is. Now he's talking about circumcision. Okay, remember now he's talking about salvation in chapter 1. In his introduction, we see that he is focused on salvation, redemption, the message of redemption. How are we redeemed? That's what he's talking about, and you're going to get a clearer picture as we continue. Now he comes down and he talks about Titus, who, though a Greek, he was a man of Yasharal, born in Greece. Okay, but even he was not compelled to be circumcised, he said. Okay, so you see what's happening here. He's talking about salvation. You see, before the change, it was mandatory that in order for you to be redeemed, that you had to be circumcised, and you had to be the blood of goats and bulls had to be shed on your behalf in order for you to be redeemed. He's making the point that Titus is accepted though he was not circumcised. And there are still people today who have an issue with this, because they say that for you to be saved, you still need to be circumcised, and circumcision for salvation is no longer a requirement. Circumcision for salvation is no longer a requirement. Okay? Yahuah's blood is the only requirement for salvation. Yahuah's blood is the only requirement for salvation. I'll say it again. Yahuah's blood is the only requirement for salvation. Remember a few years ago, we had other family of Yasharal in the assembly, and one of the gentlemen who I had encouraged to do some of the lessons in the assembly. One day he had done a study on circumcision, and he had gone to the book of Ezekiel to make the point that circumcision was no longer, that circumcision was necessary for salvation. And as he went through it, the way that he put the scriptures together, it sounded good. What I did afterwards, because it didn't sit right with me, I went back and I went over the scriptures that he presented, and I went over the scriptures again for myself. And what I found is that, again, when you take scriptures, when you take a verse from here and a verse from there, and you throw them together, you can make anything sound good. But what's important, what's necessary, is for us to study the scriptures contextually, right? Now I have a video on YouTube that talks about Yahuah's contract. I think I titled it Yahuah's Contract, What Changed? Yahuah's Contract, what changed. I'm not going to go into the details of what changed in the contract. Maybe you can watch that video, and it will fill you in some more. But circumcision as a requirement for salvation is one of those things that was under the old contract. There is an old contract, family. There is an old contract, and then there is a contract, but the old contract was tore up and rewritten because there was a problem, right? The problem was not with Yahuah, the problem was with us. And there definitely was an old contract. You see, that's why Yahuah had to come and shed his blood. Because under the old contract, the requirement was not Yahuah's blood. Under the old contract, the requirement for salvation was the blood of goats and bulls and the cutting of the foreskin. Okay? That was the requirement under the old contract. But it was amended, right? The contract was amended. And the amendment to the contract now states that the requirement for our redemption is to accept the fact that it is Yahuah who redeemed us. That he came and he shed his blood for the redemption of his people. Right? So the contract, that's the word, Aki. The contract was amended. Right? So Shaul here is pointing out that even Titus, and he's using Titus because now Titus has a reputation, right? Titus have a reputation of being upright. Titus have a reputation of leading an assembly. Titus have a reputation of proclaiming the word of Yahuah. And so he uses Titus as an example. And so he says, but not even Titus, who was with me, though a Greek, was compelled to be circumcised. Was compelled to be circumcised. Was compelled to be circumcised. What he's saying is, listen, you can be circumcised. You can be circumcised if you like, but your circumcision is not what brings you into contract with Yahuah. Okay? We can still be circumcised, but do not confuse circumcision with your salvation. Do not think that it's your circumcision that redeems you. That's the message that Shaul is communicating. So anybody who wants to be circumcised can still go out and get circumcised. You see? It's not a bad idea. Anything, listen, when Yahuah gives his instructions, it's not they're not just mindless instructions like I've said before. There are always reasons as to why Yahuah tell you to do something. You see? And so circumcision is a good thing. It's a healthy thing, right? It helps the man in preserving his cleanliness, right? So it's not a bad thing, but do not confuse now the purpose of your circumcision, right? Now, verse 4, but as for the false brothers, sneakily brought in, who sneaked in to spy out our freedom which we have in Mashiach Yahusha, in order to enslave us. Now the question is, enslave us to who and enslave us to what? And the answer to that is to enslave us to themselves. To enslave us to themselves. Right? They want the people enslaved to them. They want the people enslaved to them. Now, Yahusha also spoke to these people. As a matter of fact, let's take a second here and just go see where Yahusha spoke to them. Let's go over to the book of Matthew, chapter 23. Where Yahusha spoke to these men. As a matter of fact, he spent his whole time speaking to them because they were against him, because they felt threatened by his presence. You see. So they kept coming at him and he kept speaking to them, right? Then Yahusha spoke to the crowds and to his taught ones, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on the seat of Masha. Therefore, whatever they say to you to guard, guard and do. But do not do according to their works, for they say and do not. Now, let's take a moment to look at that, because you see, the Christian will say that the Torah is done away with, even though the Christian still reads Yahuah chapter 23. The Christian reads, how can you read Yahuah chapter 23 and then walk away and say that the Torah is done away with? You must have a serious lack of understanding, right? Because right here, Yahusha declared to the people of Yasharal that the Torah is not done away with. You see, but when they see the word Masha, when they see the name Masha, they don't realize that the name Masha is also synonymous with Torah. The name Masha is also synonymous with Torah. So in other words, we can read it this way. Then Yahusha spoke to the crowds and to his taught ones, saying, the scribes and Pharisees sit on the seat guarding Torah. That's their job, to guard Torah. As a matter of fact, the word Pharisees means to guard. It's not the actual word, but the word that is translated as Pharisees, the actual word means to guard, you see. Yes, they sit on the judgment seat. They sit on the Bema seat, right? They sit on the judgment seat. Their job is to guard the Torah, right? So Yahusha says, then Yahusha spoke to the crowds and to his taught ones, saying, the scribes and the Pharisees sit on the seat of Masha, or they sit in a position, their responsibility is to guard the Torah. That's what Yahusha is saying to the crowd and to his taught ones. Now watch what he says next. Therefore, because they're there to guard the Torah, whatever they say to you to guard, guard and do. They're there to guard the Torah. So if they tell you to do this according to out of the Torah, according to the Torah, you do it. You do it. You do it, is what he's saying to them. Is he saying there that Torah is done away with, or is he saying to the people, do Torah? He's saying do Torah, right? He said if they tell you to do it, as long as what they're telling you comes from the Torah, you do it, right? But there's a problem with these men, and he's getting ready to point out the problem, right? Because they're good at telling the people what to do, right? They're good at telling the people what to do. And they're good at telling the people what the Torah says. And they're good at making up their own rules and trying to put it in Torah. They're good at that too. You see what I'm saying? Just like they are today. Still a lot of them around today. They're good at that. They're good at telling you what the Torah says, and they're also good at putting stuff in the Torah. Making up their own stuff and trying to say this is Torah. They're good at that too. Okay? So therefore, whatever they say to you to guard, guard and do. Okay, that is according to Torah. But do not do according to their works. They're hypocrites. For they say and do not do. They say and do not do. You see, they say and do not do. They honor me with their lips, hearts far from me. For they bind, watch what they do now, for they bind heavy burdens hard to bear, and lay them on men's shoulders, but with their finger they do not wish to move them. They won't even grab it with their hand. Not even with their finger will they try to do one of the things that they tell the people to do. Right? And they do all their works to be seen by men. They do all their works to be seen by men. Remember what I said to you, that the people that Shahul is in contention with, the people that he's in that is competing with the message of Yahuah, with the truth of Yahuah, that there are people that are in it for themselves. There are people who are trying to take the esteem of Yahuah. There are people who are trying to get the people to follow them instead of following Yahuah. This is the same people that Yahusha is talking to here. This is the same people that Yahusha is talking about here. He says, and they do all their works to be seen by men, and they make their borders, their zitziot, they make their zitziot broad, wide, and lengthen. They make their borders wide and lengthen the zitziot of their garments. Make long zitziot, make long zitzit. You see, look at me. I'm set apart. You see how long my zitzit is? It sweeps the floor. You see, I'm set apart. Yeah, they're good at the outward stuff. No, they're good at the clothing line. You see, but I mean, you'll see them and they got their fringes hanging long, and then they open their mouth, and it's like a sewage burst forth. You see. So he says, they broaden the borders of their garment and they lengthen their fringes. And they love the best place at feast, and like the best seats, and the best seats in the congregations, and the greetings in the marketplaces, and to be called by men, teacher, teacher. But you, do not be called teacher, rabbi, for one is your teacher. And let me explain this verse, because what it's talking about again is those people who esteem themselves. Because Yahuah does tell us that he gives us teachers, right? But it's people who they want those titles. They want those titles. No, call me teacher. Call me priest so and so, or commander so and so, or even king so and so, or whatever they come up with. Want to be seen of men, seeking to they're building a podium upon which to stand. They want to be seen by everyone. Yes, you see. But you, do not be called rabbi, teacher, for one is your teacher, the Mashiach, and you are all brothers. You see, family, I'm your brother. You're my brother, you're my sister. We're all brothers, right? Yeah, they're soapbox. The soapbox gonna crumble, right? Neither be called leaders, for one is your leader, the Mashiach, but the greatest among you shall be your servant. The greatest among you shall be your servant. And whoever exalts himself shall be humbled, and whoever humbles himself shall be exalted. But woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you shut up the rain of the Shamayim before men, for you do not go in, nor do you allow those who are entering to go in. You don't go in, and you don't allow anybody else to go in, he said. Yeah, you want them to come see you, but you not going in, and you're not allowing them to go in. You see, that's what they were trying to hold on to, family. They were trying to hold on to power. You see what I'm saying? And that's what Shaul is speaking to. Those ones that were telling the people that in order for you to be saved, you need to come get circumcised, and you need to come bring your goat and bring your bull and bring your this and bring your that. That's the message that that's the point that Shaul is addressing in the book of Galatians. And as we continue through the book, you're going to see it more and more clearly. He says, woe to you, this is Yahusha speaking again, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you eat up widows' houses. Yeah, that's them ones, that's them hypocrites and scribes, that's them hypocrites that tell you, I am of the tribe of this and I'm of the tribe of that, you need to send me your tithes. You see, I'm over here, come, you hit the road, y'all need to come see me. You see, if you ain't see me, then you not, let me use their words. If you don't come see me, then you're not Israel. If you don't come see me, you're not a Hebrew Israelite. If you don't come see me, you're not Yisrael. All of whatever they say, right? Let me use their words. If I have not blessed you, then you are not Israel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you shut up the rain of Shamayim before men, for you do not go in, nor do you allow those who are entering to go in. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you eat up widows' houses, and for a show make long prayers. Because of this you shall receive greater judgment. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you go about the land and the sea to win one convert. And when he is won, you make him a son of Gehenna, twofold more than yourselves. Yeah, you go out there on the street and you proclaim on the street corners, you go all over the place to convert somebody, and then you make them twofold a son. Make him a son of Gehenna, a son of destruction, twofold more than yourself. Woe to you, blind guides, who say whoever swears by the dwelling place, it does not matter, but whoever swears by the gold of the dwelling place is bound by oath. Yeah, I mean, you can talk about the place all you want to, but just don't talk about the money. Don't talk against the money, because if you talk against the tithes, then you're cut off. If you talk against the tithes, you're cursed. You see. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gold or the dwelling place that sets the gold apart? And whoever swears by the altar, it does not matter, but whoever swears by the gift that is on it is bound by oath. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that sets the gift apart? He then who swears, watch this now, because you see, this is exactly what we're talking about when we talk about these people going all over the place, keep saying they're keeping the feast. They say, listen, you can talk against the altar all you want, just don't talk against the sacrifice. What is greater, the altar or the sacrifice? Yahusha asked, what is greater, the place that I have chosen or the sacrifice that you're bringing? What is greater? What makes the sacrifice set apart? Is it the sacrifice? Is it the sacrifice that makes the place set apart, or is it the place that makes the sacrifice set apart? That's the question that Yahusha is asking, and it is a relevant question still to this day, because you still have people doing the same foolishness. They're speaking against the altar. How are they speaking against the altar? Because they're telling people that it don't matter where you go and do your slaughtering. It don't matter which cesspool, what toilet you go in and slaughter your lamb or your goat. That don't matter. What matters is that you slaughter. It don't matter if you do it in the toilet, don't matter if you do it in the kitchen, don't matter if you do it in the living room, don't matter where you do it. That's not what matters. The altar doesn't matter. What matters is the sacrifice. That's nonsense. You see that? Yahusha himself just said it. Yahusha said that's nonsense. These men are telling people that the place doesn't matter. What matters is the sacrifice. And Yahusha says that's absolute garbage. Let me read it for you again. Let me read it again. Fools and blind, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that sets the gift apart? Here, microphone's open somewhere there, family. Let's see. Okay. So, all right, let's see. Whoops. So he says, fools and blind, for which is greater, the gift or the altar that sets the gift apart? He then who swears by the altar, swears by it and by all that is upon it. And he who swears by the dwelling place, swears by it and by him who is dwelling in it. And he who swears... Oh, by the way, I should have read from verse 18. And whoever swears by the altar, Whoever swears by the altar, it does not matter. But whoever swears by the gift that is on it is bound by oath. Is what he's saying. That's what they do. They flip things around, right? Now jump back down to verse 21. And he who swears by the dwelling place swears by it and by him who is dwelling in it. And he who swears by Shamayim swears by the throne of Elohim and by him who is sitting upon it. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you tithe the mint and the anise and the cumin. So to the Christians, here is a clue about what the tithe should be. The tithe can only be produce and livestock. Nowhere do we find in the scriptures. The Christians and also people claiming to be Yahusha who are still telling people to send them their tithes. So not just the Christians. Here's a big clue. Here's a big clue right here. Okay, he said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you tithe the mint and the anise and the cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the Torah, the right ruling, and the compassion, and the belief. Now, in this day, they were tithing what they were supposed to tithe. They were tithing produce and livestock. But Yahuah was not pleased. Even when they were tithing what they were supposed to tithe, they weren't trying to tithe no money, because money wasn't tithing. They knew that, so they weren't tithing that. They were tithing produce and livestock. But Yahuah was still not pleased with their tithe. Why? Why? Because they're uplifting themselves over the Torah of Yahuah. He said, woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you tithe the mint and the anise and the cumin, and have neglected the weightier matters of the Torah, the right ruling and the compassion and the belief. These need to have been done without neglecting the others. Blind guides, straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. Yeah, these fellas, they'll strain out a gnat. A gnat fall in the cup, they'll strain it out. Nope, unclean, can't have it. But then they go and they swallow a whole camel, alive and all. They swallow a camel. Boy, they got an appetite. They got a throat. And they got a stomach. You see? In the book of Yeshayahu, chapter 56 and verse 10, Yahuah says they've become fat with grease. They're greedy dogs, he said. That's what Yahuah told the prophet Yeshayahu to call the false prophets of Yasharal. Greedy dogs and blind guides, he told him. You see. Now, so he says, blind guides straining out a gnat and swallowing a camel. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you clean the outside of the cup and dish, but inside they are filled with plunder and uncleanness and lawlessness. They are filled with plunder and lawlessness. Blind Pharisees, first clean the inside of the cup and dish, so that the outside of them becomes clean too. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you are like whitewashed tombs, which outwardly indeed look well, but inside are filled with dead men's bones and all uncleanness. So you too outwardly indeed appear set apart to men, but inside you are filled with hypocrisy and lawlessness. Woe to you, scribes and Pharisees, hypocrites, because you build the tombs of the prophets and decorate the monuments of the set apart, and say, if we had lived in the days of our fathers, we would not have taken part with them in the blood of the prophets. Yep, just like we say today. Thus you bear witness against yourselves that you are sons of those who did murder the prophets. Yeah, if Yahu was alive today, a whole lot of us would be stoning him. If Yeshayahu was alive, we'd be stoning him. If Al-Yahu was alive, many of us would be among the crowd stoning him. But you know, today we will take care of their tombs and sing their greatness, right? That's what Yahusha is saying, and that's what these men were doing. He called them serpents. He says, thus you bear witness against yourselves, and you are sons of those who did murder the prophets, and you fill up the measure of your fathers, serpents, brood of vipers, snakes. How would you escape the judgment of Gehenna because of this? See, the judgment of destructions. I send you prophets and wise men and scholars of scripture. Some of them you shall kill and impale, and some of them you shall flog in your congregations and persecute from city to city, so that on you should come all the set apart blood shed on the earth, from the blood of the set apart Habal to the blood of Zachariahu, the son of Barakiahu, whom you murdered between the dwelling place and the altar. Truly I say to you, all this shall come upon this generation. Jerusalem, Jerusalem, killing the prophets and stoning those who are sent to her. How often I wished to gather your children together, the way a hen gathers her chickens under her wings, but you would not. See, your house is left to you laid waste. For I say to you, from now on, you shall no means see me until you say, Baruch is he who is coming in the name of Yahuah. Allah Yahuah. So that was Yahusha speaking to the same kind of people that Shaul was speaking to. The same people. You see, Yahusha with the same message that Shaul was bringing about those people. So let's go back now to the book of Galatians. We're going back to chapter 2 and verse 4. Now, he says, but as for the false brothers sneakily brought in, the false brothers, you see those hypocrites that Yahusha was just talking about, they're the false brothers. They're the ones that want people to esteem them and not to give Yahuah the esteem that he deserved. They're the one that's saying, no, Yahuah never came and shed his blood to deliver you. That's nonsense. No, you need to circumcise yourself and you need to bring that goat and that bull to us and let us declare you right. Let us declare you set apart. Then you will be set apart. Yeah, that's them. That's the same ones. Same ones that Yahuah called hypocrites and blind guides. The same ones who strain out the gnat but swallow the camel alive and whole. Yep, them same ones. Same ones Shaul is talking to and talking about. Okay, so he says, but as for the false brothers sneakily brought in, yeah, they come in sneakily too. They come in sneakily. They come in, they act like they're, they're good, they're with you. They're looking for an occasion. You know what they want to do? They want to raise doubt in the assembly. They want to create division in the assembly. They want to scatter the flock. You know why? Because they're not shepherds, they're hirelings. They're hirelings. They don't care for the sheep. You see, they're just there for a paycheck. You see, they're just there for a paycheck. That's why they keep telling you to send me your tithes, lest you be cursed. You see. But as for the false brothers sneakily brought in, who sneak in to spy out our freedom, which we have in Mashiach Yahusha, in order to enslave us, to these we did not yield in subjection, not even for an hour, so that the truth of the good news remains with you. No, we didn't yield in subjection to them, Shaul says, not even for an hour. We're not going to jeopardize the truth, though we might be deemed unpopular, though we might be deemed as castaways, though we might be called all kinds of stuff. No, we're not going to yield to them, even though they have the louder mouth, even though they're more recognized than we are. No, we're not even yielding to them, not even for an hour. But from verse 6, but from those who were esteemed to be whatever, what they were, it makes no difference to me. Elohim shows no partiality, for those who were esteemed contributed nothing to me. None of those that were highly esteemed, they contributed nothing to me. I don't owe them anything. You see, my mouth ain't sealed because they have given me anything, and so now I can't speak the truth because they have done something nice for me. No, they have not been bought out by them. You see. Watch this now. But on the contrary, when they saw that the good news to this uncircumcised had been entrusted to me. Who are the uncircumcised? You will find this in the writings often, the uncircumcised. You know, so it's important to understand this. Yahudah was considered the circumcised. The house of Yahuah, the house of Ephraim, or the 10 tribes were considered to be the uncircumcised because they were divorced, they were put away. So Shaul says that the message, the good news to the uncircumcised was delivered to me, to the Gentiles, the 10 tribes of Yasharal, the house of Ephraim, the house of Yahuah. But on the contrary, when they saw that the good news to the uncircumcised had been entrusted to me, even as Kapha to the circumcised. So I was sent to the uncircumcised. Kapha was sent to the circumcised. Okay? Kapha was sent to the circumcised. I was sent to the uncircumcised. Alright? So Kapha was sent to the house of Yahudah. Shaul was sent to the house of Ephraim, or the house of Yahuah, or the house of Yasharal, also known as the 10 tribes. For he who worked in Kapha to make him a servant to the circumcised, also work in me for the Gentiles, the 10 tribes. So when Yahuah, Kapha, and Yahuchanan, who seemed to be supports, came to know the favor that had been given to me, they gave me and Barnabas the right hand of fellowship. And this right hand of fellowship thing right here, it don't even belong. That's a Christian terminology. But basically, they baracked me, right? In order that we go to the Gentiles and they to the circumcised, only that we might remember the poor, which I myself was eager to do. Which I myself was eager to do. Now, it's interesting when Yahuah sent these men out to the different groups of people, because you see, the approach is going to be very different in any situation and in any case. So when Kapha went to the circumcised, when he went to the house of Yahudah, he didn't go there just with a sledgehammer trying to knock down everything in one swoop. No, he didn't do that. Yahuah gave him wisdom in addressing them, because this is a drastic change. This is a radical change. There's a radical change in the message, because what he is tasked with telling them is that, listen now, you know, that goat used to take to the high priest, and he'd shed the blood, and then he'd go behind the veil and he'd put it on the altar and he'd make intercession for you, and so on and so forth. You know, and that whole thing where, you know, you had to be circumcised in the flesh in order to be accepted, you know, that those things have changed. So these were radical changes for a people who, the only thing they have been accustomed to their whole life, whether they're in obedience or disobedience, the only thing that they have known is circumcision and salvation, redemption through the blood of animals. That's all they have known. And now there is this message. So when Kapha went to them, he didn't go to them and say, drop this right now. No, he tried to guide them in. It would be the same way as going to somebody who the only thing they have known all their life is Christianity, right? They grow up seeing that picture of white Jesus on the wall, next to Martin Luther King, and now you're telling them Jesus ain't it. That's not gonna go over well. You're gonna be a false teacher. You're gonna be a part of a cult. You're gonna be everything that's wrong and bad. You see. And Yahuah, if we allow him, he gives us wisdom in approaching people. Now, of course, the truth is going to offend people, but some people work on being more offensive. It's like Yuna, you know. It's like aka Jonah. He tried to be as offensive as he could be with the message, and some people try to do just that, you see. I mean, the message itself is radical enough. You don't need to add anything to it. You see. Be gentle with delivering it. Be patient with delivering it, right? Be considerate in delivering it. Be thoughtful in delivering it. Allow Yahuah to lead in delivering it, right? So, when Yahakkab, Kapha, and Yahuchanan, who seemed to be supports, came to know the favor that had been given to me, they gave me and Barnabas their barakut, in order that we go to the Gentiles and they to the circumcised. All right? Only that we might remember the poor, which I myself was eager to do. And when Kapha had come to Antioch, I withstood him to his face because he was at fault. For before some came from Yahakkab, he was eating with the Gentiles. Look how silly this gets. So Kapha got a little carried away. He got a little beside himself. He got a little foolish, you see. But you got to also remember the history between these two peoples. You got to remember the history between the house of Yehuda and the house of Yahakkab. It was the house of Yahakkab that time upon time again offended the house of Yehuda, joined with foreign nations to fight against Yehuda. And so there came a point where Yahuah said, you know what, even I have had enough. And that's why he divorced the house of Yahakkab. So there has always been this bitter rivalry against these two houses, right? There's always been, as a matter of fact, the bitter rivalry started before the split and manifested in a profound way at the time of the split, where they begin to war against one another, and that bitterness continued. So now there is this bitterness among them. The house of Yehuda was bitter against the house of Yahakkab, and so Kapha, who was going to the house of Yehuda, now here's an opportunity. He comes to a place where now he have with him some other men, some other people from the house of Yehuda, and their people now, new believers from the house of Yahakkab, present in this place. So what does he do? Now, while there wasn't anybody else there from the house of Yehuda, he had no problem sitting and eating with them. But now he got some friends with him. Now he want to play new. He want to act like, I don't know him. I don't have nothing to do with them. He want to pretend as if he hadn't eaten with them before. You see? It's the same issue that Yahusha had. It's the same issue that Yahusha had with the people of Yehuda. The people of Yehuda, they try to call out Yahusha. They say they're calling out Yahusha because he went and he ate with certain people. You see? Same issue. Yeah, I tell you, Yashara, we something, man. We petty. We can be quite petty, can't we? Yeah, we can be quite petty. You see. Yeah. He was a summer friend, that key. Yes, indeed. Calling out Yahusha. Yeah, they call themselves calling out Yahusha. Yeah, acting brand new. Nah, I don't know him. Nah, I wouldn't be caught dead eating with them folk. You see? Yeah, knowing well that you just sat down with them yesterday. Now you want to act new. Come on. No, listen, we can't act like that toward people. No, we can't act like that toward people. You see, if we act totally selfish, how we going to reach anybody? How we going to help anybody? Can you imagine you being a doctor? You being a surgeon, and there are patients who need surgery, but you might have a problem because of their race, so-called race, the way they look. And now you find yourself in a place where you want to help them, but something in you is saying, I can't touch that person. I can't be around that person. If there's something in you keeping you from interacting with them, then how you gonna help them? Yeah, I understand they might be cussing, they might be smoking, they might be drinking, they might be carrying on, but I mean, I'm not telling you go live with them. But sometimes you gotta be able to sit yourself in the place of discomfort. It's not comfortable. It's not where you really would like to be, but you know what? There's a purpose for me being here. Now, if you're just hanging out there and you have no purpose, then you're in trouble. Because you're going to be sucked in. You see? But how can there be light in a room if there is no candle? How can you light a room if you have not introduced light? If no light is introduced in the room, then the room will always be dark. Right? And so if you're trying to light a dark room, you're going to have to bring the light. Right? You're going to have to be that light. But if you're feeling like the room is dark and you are the light, but you, for some reason, you feel like you can't go in the room will remain dark. And whose fault will it be that the room is dark and that the room remain dark? It will be the light bearer's fault, because the light bearer felt too lit to go into a dark place. That don't make sense, do it? The light bearer feel too lit to go into a dark place. That don't make no sense. Because when light appears, darkness disappears. But the light bearer feel too lit to go into a dark place. It makes no sense. Family, I believe that with us, we got to drop some of the isms and the schisms. Because I believe that, I've certainly fallen guilty. I've been guilty. I believe to a large degree we have been guilty. As we come to a knowledge of Yahuah, we isolate ourselves totally. Oh no, I'm too set apart to talk to you. If we are the light and we don't show up, then darkness will remain. And you got to understand about the light. When you introduce light to a dark place, the people that's been in darkness, they're going to have a hard time seeing for a while. You got to give them time for their eyes to adjust. You see what I'm saying? And while their eyes are adjusting, it might be affecting their ears too. Because while they're trying to get their eyes in focus, they can't hear nothing you're saying either. You see what I'm saying? So you're going to have to be patient for a little while. Yeah. Alright. So Kafa had that issue. And Shaul had to set him straight. For before some came from Yahuah, verse 12, he was eating with the Gentiles, but when they came, he began to withdraw and separate himself in fear of those of the circumcision. Yeah. Family, I know that it can be hard to go against the grain, but we got to build up that boldness where other people don't dictate how we behave. Simply because we know somebody ain't going to approve of us being somewhere, being around certain people, then that's going to determine how we act because they're around. What I'm saying, I'm not talking about you going and acting crazy. I'm just talking about how you're putting on a front, or you like somebody said earlier, you being that summer friend. Now, and the rest of the Yahudim joined him in hypocrisy. You see that? The rest of the Yahudim joined him in hypocrisy, so that even Barnabas was led away by their hypocrisy. Woe is contagious. Yes, it's contagious. But when I saw that they are not walking straight according to the truth of the good news, I said to Kapha before them all, if you, being a Yahudi, not Yahudite, but Yahudi, live as a Gentile, and not as the Yahudim, why do you compel Gentiles to live as Yahudim? Let me read that again. But when I saw that they are not walking straight according to the truth of the Bashurah, what is the good news of the Bashurah, by the way? We talked about this a little bit in chapter 1. I talked about it a little bit the last time we were together. What is the good news of the Bashurah? You know what the good news of the Bashurah is? The good news is that a people who were once put away, a people who were once divorced, a people who were once scattered, Yahuah made a way to amend, to bring them back to himself. That's the good news. That's the good news. That's the Bashurah. What is the way? The blood. The way is the blood of Yahuah. That is the way that brought them back. The message of deliverance through the blood of Yahuah. Yahuah our salvation. Yahuah our salvation. You see. We're going to go to that message in a moment. So he said to them, but when I saw that they are not walking straight according to the truth of the good news, I said to Kapha before them all, if you being a Yahudi live as a Gentile and not as the Yahudim, why do you compel the Gentiles to live as Yahudim? He's saying to him is, listen, if you're behaving like they're behaving, why do you compel them to live the way that the Yahudim live? And you are a Yahudim. You're a Yahudim, but you're behaving like they behave, and they don't know no better right now. But you're behaving like them. You know, there's a message in that, family. There's a message in that. It don't feel good to the flesh, but here's the message. Here's the message, family. Here's the message. You cannot fight hate with hate. We can't fight hate with hate. You cannot fight hate with hate. That's the message that Shaul is communicating. You can't fight hate with hate. You will not win. What does Yahusha say? What does Yahuah say? Yahuah say you reap what you sow, right? You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. Now tell me something. If you go out there in your backyard and you plant a grain of corn, are you going to reap oranges? If you plant a grain of corn, are you going to reap oranges? No, impossible. You can't. If you plant corn, you're not going to reap oranges. Why is that? Why is that? It's because of a simple law that Yahuah declared. He decreed and he declared that you reap what you sow. You reap what you sow. And that is true concerning everything. You're not going to plant lemon seed and get peas. It's impossible. In the same way, if dissension is what you sow, then you're going to reap dissension. If violence is what you sow, then you're going to reap violence. What a man sows, that he will also reap. You reap what you sow. And that's the point that Shaul is making to Kapha. He says, if you, being a Yahudim, act like the Gentiles, then why should the Gentiles want to become like the Yahudim? You see? So, if you're sowing discord, if you're sowing malice and all of that stuff, what do you think you're going to get back? If you sow malice, you're going to get back malice. Sow discord, you're going to get back discord. You can't sow discord and expect to get unity. It don't work. You reap what you sow. What a man sows, that he will reap. And you know, there's another thing the scriptures tell us about sowing. There's another thing the scriptures tell us about sowing. It have a way. When you sow things, it don't spring up, or it don't come right back. It don't come right up. In the book of Ecclesiastes, he says, cast your bread upon the waters, and it will return to you after many days. You might have sown something, and it's been a while, and you forgot you sowed it. I've planted seeds and forgot about it, and then I see it spring up, and I'm like, wow, look at that, beautiful, awesome, just to see that little thing pop out of the ground. Forgot where you sow it, but then once it comes up, you know exactly where you put it. But you reap what you sow. But the thing is, what you sow might take a little while to come back around, but it's coming. You see, it's got to germinate, and the earth that you sow it in has got to do its work, and then it's gonna come up. So what kind of seeds are you sowing? What kind of fruits are you planting? Or what kind of thorns and thistles are you putting in the ground? Because what you put in is what you're gonna get out. Yes, indeed. Indeed, I've done that, Akut. But you know, in time it's going to come up, and you're going to remember what it is, because the DNA that is embedded in that seed, it's going to do what it's supposed to do, and it will speak to you. You will know what it is. Yes, indeed. Yeah, so we Yahudim by nature, and not of the Gentiles, sinners, knowing that a man is not declared right by works of Torah. Oh boy, some people have problems with this. But let me say it again, and this is a fact. A man is not declared right by works of Torah. What declares a man right, family? What declares you right? Are you made? Are you delivered? Or a man is not declared right. A man is not redeemed. That's what it means. A man is not redeemed by works of Torah. So in other words, if you want to be redeemed, put back into right standing with Yahuah, brought back into the house of Yasharal, you can't just go out there and dismiss the blood of Yahuah and say, well, I'm going to keep all the instructions of Torah. But then again, you can't keep all the instructions of Torah. You can't say you have kept all the instructions of Torah if you miss Mashiach, because Mashiach is all throughout Torah. So how can you then say that you are keeping all the instructions of Torah and somehow you miss Mashiach in Torah? It's impossible. So you are lying then. You're not keeping all of Torah, because if you're keeping all of Torah, then you're going to find Mashiach in Torah, because Mashiach is all throughout Torah. He says, behold, I come, in the volume of the book it's written of me. You see, he's all throughout Torah, Mashiach. So how can one declare that they keep Torah perfectly but somehow miss Mashiach in Torah? Impossible. You're kidding yourself. You're fooling yourself if you do and say that. Right? But you can't go out there and say, well, you know what? This is what I'm going to do so that I know that I make it in the kingdom. I'm going to reject the currency for my redemption, which is the blood of Yahuah. But I'm going to keep all the feast, including the Sabbath, and I'm going to I'm not going to wear any mixed garments. I'm going to wear my fringes, you know, everything I can find do, I'm going to do. I'm just not going to, I don't accept the idea of Yahuwah's blood being the thing that puts me back into right standing with him. I don't accept that. Now, let me see if that puts you back in the right standing. You doing everything else but rejecting that fact. If that puts you back in the right standing. It don't. And that's the point Shaul is making here. When he says, a man is not declared right by works of Torah, but through belief in the currency, but through belief in Yahusha HaMashiach. Even we have believed in Mashiach Yahusha in order to be declared right by belief in Mashiach and not by works of Torah, because by works of Torah no flesh shall be declared right. Remember what Yahusha said in Matthew chapter 23 about the hypocrites? What did he say? He said that they knew Torah. They weren't following Torah. So were they right? Were they declared right? No. And if they were following Torah, then they would know to believe upon Mashiach if they were following Torah. Now, what is Torah? Religion will tell you that Torah is the first 5 books of the Bible. That's what religion says. But that's not Torah. Torah is not limited to Genesis, Exodus, Leviticus, Numbers, and Devarim. No. Torah, according to the scriptures, is all the word of Yahuwah. All of the instructions of Yahuwah. Right? So let's look at a portion of Torah. There are many portions of Torah that talk about salvation, but let's go to Yeshayahu. Let's go to Yeshayahu. Let's look at Yeshayahu. Let's look at chapter 43 very quickly, a part of 43. About what it says about salvation, redemption. Let's see if Shaul is contradicting Torah, or Torah and Shaul actually says the same thing. You see? So but now, thus said who? Yahuwah, your creator, O Yahuah, and he who formed you, O Yasharal, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. Wait. The goat has redeemed you. No, the bull has redeemed you. No, you following, keeping the feast redeemed you. Oh no, you circumcising yourself redeemed you. Is that, did it say any of that? Is that what it says? Well, let me read it again. Maybe I missed something. But now, thus said Yahuwah, your creator, O Yahuah, and he who formed you, O Yasharal, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. You know what's interesting about this? Yahuwah was speaking to the future. Here, Yahuwah is speaking to Yahuah's future. Here, Yahuwah is speaking to Yahuah's future. He's not speaking to their present. You might be wondering, what is he saying? I'm going to explain to you in a second. I'm going to explain to you what I'm saying in a second. But hear me. Let me say it again. Right here, right in this instance, Yahuwah is speaking, or Yahuwah was speaking, not to Yahuah's present, not to their present situation, but he was speaking to their future. What I'm saying is, At this particular time, Yahuah, the house of Yasharal, was in trouble. They were in the process of being put away by Yahuah. They were in the process of being divorced by Yahuah. But notice the way he spoke here. He spoke in past tense. He says, "Do not fear, for I have redeemed you." It's already done. Because with Yahuah, what will be manifested is already done. With Yahuah, what will be manifested is actually already done. It's already done. With Yahuah, what will be manifested, what we will see from Yahuah's perspective, the work is already complete. It just takes some time to see, for us to see it. You see, think about it this way. Think about it this way. It's like seeing the light that comes from the heavens. The light that you witness in the heavens, when you look at a star in the heavens, in the Shamayim, the light that you see from that star is not the light that's emanating from the star at the time that you're witnessing that light. Because the star is so far away that the light that you see is the light that was emanated probably many years prior. But the star is so far away that it takes that light to travel many years to hit your vision, to get to Earth. You see? That's why they talk about light years, right? The amount of years the light take to be visible from Earth, right? So when you look up in the heavens, the light that you see from a star, you're not looking at that's not the light that's actually the star is actually giving off in that moment. Took a long time before it get to the point where you can see it, because light, just like sound has a speed that it travels at, light also has a speed that it travels at. Okay, if you turn on a flashlight and you set up a mark, you turn on a camera and you put the recording in slow motion, what you will see, now to the naked eye, it will look like as soon as you turn on the flashlight, the light hit the wall. To the naked eye, because your brain, it doesn't slow down the motion enough for you to realize how long it took to hit the wall. So it seems as if as soon as you turn on the flashlight, the light hit the wall. But if you should put that in slow motion, you will see that after you turn on the light took some time to travel to the wall, and then you see the light on the wall. You see, my point is, I'm using that as an example to show that what becomes manifested to us, the work of Yahuah that becomes manifested to us, was something that was already done in the past. It was already done. We're just realizing it. We're just seeing it. You see, that's why he was able to say to Yahu, before you were formed in your mother's womb, I knew you. And yeah, your mama just saw you, but I saw you long before she knew you, long before she saw you, even before you appeared in her womb. You were already done. You were already created. You were already made. It just took some time for the human to experience what I have done, to experience my work, to witness my work, to see my work. We're living in a delayed timeline, so to speak. We're living on delayed frequency. Yahuah is way ahead of us, you see. Now, so he says, But now, thus said Yahuah your creator, O Yahuah, and he who formed you, O Yasharal, do not fear, for I have redeemed you. So, at this time, family, Yahuah had not yet shed his blood for Yahuah that was going to be divorced. But he said, I have redeemed you. So who is Yasharal's redeemer? Who is Yahuah's redeemer? Yahuah. I have called you by your name. You are mine. Now that's crazy, because here it is. Yahuah says, I'm about to put you away. I'm about to divorce you. But then he comes back and said, I have redeemed you. I have called you by your name. You are mine. In our humanness, we might say, yo, you're confusing me, Pop. You're confusing me, Abba. What are you saying? Didn't you just tell me that you're divorcing me? Now you're telling me you call me by your name. You have redeemed me, and I am yours. In our humanness, we might be confused. But that's where we got to get on Yahuah's timing to understand him. You see? Because what we're experiencing the past. You see? Yahuah works in our future. You see, your tomorrow is already plotted. You don't know it. You don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. You don't know what you're going to encounter. But guess what? Yahuah knows. He was already there. He's already there. Now tomorrow you walk into it and it's new to you, but it's not new to him. You see. Your tomorrow is already made. Your tomorrow is already done. Now if you don't want to mess it up, and if we don't want to mess it up, what we've got to seek to do is to walk in his will, walk according to his will. If we walk in his will, then everything will be all right. If we go against his will, that's where we mess it up. You see. Yes, indeed. He said he has predestined us even before the very foundation of the world. When you pass through the waters, I am with you. And through rivers, they do not overflow you. When you walk through fire, you are not scorched, and the flame does not burn you. For I am Yahuah your Elohim, the set apart one, not one of the set apart ones, but I am the set apart one of Yasharal. I am your what? Your Savior, your Deliverer, your Redeemer. So here in verse 1 he says, I redeemed you. In verse 3 he says, I am your Savior. I gave Mitzrayim for your ransom, Cush and Saba in your place. Since you were precious in my eyes, you have been esteemed, and I have loved you. And I give men in your place and peoples for your life. Do not fear, for I am with you. I shall bring your seed from the east and gather you from the west. I shall say to the north, give them up, and to the south, do not keep them back. Bring sons from afar and my daughters from the ends of the earth. He's talking about the regathering, family. He's talking about our redemption. All those who are called by my name, whom I have created, formed, even made for my esteem. He shall bring out a blind people who have eyes, and deaf ones who have ears. All the nations shall be assembled, and the peoples be gathered. Who among them declares this, and show us former events? Let them give their witnesses to be declared right, or let them hear and say, it is true. You are my witnesses. You know that we are the two witnesses, right? It ain't the stuff they teach us in Christianity about the two witnesses. The two houses of Yasharal are the two witnesses. Okay? You are my witnesses, declares Yahuah, and my set aparts, and my servant whom I have chosen, so that you know and believe me, and understand that I am he. Before me there watch this now, guys, watch this now, he says, watch this now. Before me there was no Al formed, nor after me there is none. Yahuah said, before me there was no Elohim, and after me there is no Elohim. Before me there was no mighty one, and after me there is no mighty one. So how can Yahusha be any different from Yahuah? Right? Watch this again. Here, Yahuah said, if you missed it, let me say it to you again. Yahuah says, just in case you missed that, I'm going to tell you plain and straight. Let me give it to you straight. I'm going to give it to you straight in case you missed what I just said. Maybe I said it with too many words. Let me shorten my speech so that you might hear me more directly. I am Yahuah, and besides me, there is no Savior. I am Yahuah, and besides me, there is no Savior. I have declared and saved and made known, and there was no foreign mighty one among you, and you are my witnesses, declares Yahuah, that I am Al. Now, there are many other scriptures that we can go to that make the point, but we're not going to do that right now. Let's go back to the book of Galatians. We're going to try to wrap up chapter 2. I'm going to try to wrap up chapter 2 and finish out for this evening. Okay? So, that's what Shaul was declaring to Yasharal, that Yahuah is your redeemer. Okay? He says, no works of Torah redeem you. Who redeems you? Who redeems us? Can anybody declare that they are redeemed by their works, by their own works? Can anybody declare that? No. If anybody declares that, they're a liar, because you know what they do? They disown Yahuah. They do not acknowledge Yahuah. They're praising themselves. They're praising themselves. They're saying, look at me, I saved myself. We can't save ourselves. You cannot save yourself. We needed a redeemer. What did it say in the book of Deuteronomy chapter 28? Dabarim chapter 28. What did he say? That he said that when we are sold into bondage, what did he say? He says, no man will be able to redeem you. Isn't that what he says? Did he say that you can redeem yourself though? Nobody else will be able to redeem you, but you can redeem yourself. Is that what he said? No, he didn't say that. Did he say we can redeem ourselves? No. No, we can't redeem ourselves. No, we can't save ourselves. You see, people like to take Yahuah's credit. Prideful people like to take Yahuah's credit. And that's what Shaul is warning against. You see? He says, it is not by your works, your salvation, your redemption is not by your works, lest any man should boast. You can't boast about you being set apart. You can't boast about you being put in the right standing, being in right standing with Yahuah, as if it's something you did yourself. You see, it's ignorance to the scriptures that causes people to say stuff like that. Because even if you go to the book of Hosea, the book of Hosea, it shows you clearly where Yahuah tells you that it is not you that call yourself, that bring yourself back to him. It is he who turns his face back to his people, to a disobedient people. You see, to a stiff-necked people, to a wicked people. It is he, even while we didn't want him, even while we were fighting against him, while we were still his enemies, he died for us. You see, he Yahuah, right? So that's what Shaul is talking about here, family. Let me go back down to where he said it, because a lot of people have problems with it, but again, the scriptures make it plain. Right? The scriptures make it plain. Knowing that a man is not declared right by works of Torah, but through belief in Yahusha HaMashiach. Even we have believed in Mashiach Yahusha in order to be declared right by belief in Mashiach, and not by works of Torah, because by works of Torah no flesh shall be declared right. It is not the works of Torah that declares us right. So what is the role of the works of Torah? Let me put it to you this way. The blood of Yahuah brings us into the house. The works of Torah keeps us in the house. The blood of Yahuah make us fit for the house. The works of Torah, the instructions of Torah are the rules of the house, if by which we abide, we will stay in the house. If we do not abide by the rules, we get kicked out of the house. So much for that Christian doctrine that says once saved, always saved. So much for that Christian doctrine that says once saved, always saved. So is Shaul saying that there is no place for the works of Torah? No, not at all. Read the writings of Shaul and you will see that that's not what Shaul is saying. What Shaul is telling these people who are saying that it is by works of Torah that you are redeemed, Shaul is telling them not so. But Shaul also goes on to tell us what is the role of the works of Torah. So the works of Torah keeps us in the house, but they don't get us in the house. It is the blood of Yahuah that gets us in the house, and obedience to the works of Torah keeps us in the house. It's that simple. Only those who endure to the end. Yes, indeed. Now, verse 17. And if, while seeking to be declared right by Mashiach, we ourselves also are found transgressors, is Mashiach then a servant of transgression, servant of sin? Let it not be. So, what he's saying is that if we, while we're seeking now to live for Yahuah, if we find ourselves transgressing, which we will, it's a fact. We're human beings, we're still imperfect, and it will happen. Some way, somehow, we will, knowingly or unknowingly, we will. It's not a license, but it's a reality. So, if that happens, and when that happens, does that make Yahuah imperfect because we're in him and we find ourselves faltering? In the book of Proverbs it says that the set apart man falls 7 times, but he gets back up again. And that 7, it's not an absolute number. It's just a number that reflects the process of perfection, right? The process of completion. So it's not saying that, well, if I'm set apart, then I'm only going to mess up 7 times and I'll get up again and I'll be all right. No, you might mess up more than 7 on your way to perfection. And none of us will be perfected until Yahuah comes and he makes us perfect, because we're incapable of making ourselves perfect. You see? Keith Franklin wrote from the book of Yoel 2:32, and it shall be that everyone who calls on the name of Yahuah shall be delivered. For on Mount Zion and in Jerusalem there shall be an escape, as Yahuah has said, and among the survivors whom Yahuah calls. Allahu Yahuah. So now, for if I build what I once overthrew, I establish myself a transgressor. For through Torah I died to Torah, in order to live to Elohim. Now, there's a misunderstanding about the use of the word Torah by many people and the way Shaul uses the word Torah. A lot of people don't realize that there are many Torahs. There are many Torahs. Family, if I say there are many Torahs, what am I actually saying? If I say there are many Torahs, what am I actually saying? If somebody could give me a translation of that. There are many instructions. There are many instructions. That's right. There are many instructions. That's what I'm saying. There are many instructions. So, when Shaul used the word Torah, he is speaking here about a particular Torah. And that is the Torah of redemption. He is speaking to the Torah of redemption. He is speaking about the Torah of redemption. And when it comes to redemption, there was an amendment to the Torah of redemption, right? So what was the amendment to the Torah of redemption? The amendment was that there was a change made where the requirement was no longer the blood of animals and circumcision in the flesh in order for you to be redeemed, but it was amended to where what was needed for your redemption is belief upon the sacrifice of Yahuah. Accepting the sacrifice of Yahuah. That was the amendment. So what Shaul is speaking to here is those who are trying to go by the way of the old Torah when it comes to redemption. And he's emphasizing that there has been an amendment to the Torah, but if you're going to go by the old Torah, which is the other good news, because it was a good news to Yasharal at one point, that's why he called it the other good news. So if you're still trying to go by the other good news, you're going to be in trouble. Because there was an amendment made. There was an amendment made, right? And the amendment now is the blood of Yahuah, upon which we must believe and accept in order to be redeemed. Okay? That's what Shaul is saying. Now, let me just ask, family, because I've been told that I'm just making stuff up trying to defend Shaul. What we have covered so far as we studied through Galatians here 1 and 2, have I made anything up, or is it clear as to what's being said? I want to make sure, because I've been accused on more than one occasion that I'm making up stuff trying to defend Shaul. As far as I see it, it's very clear. So it must be, like Yahusha said, these must be some blind guides that's speaking. And if the blind lead the blind, shall they not both fall into the ditch? Now, so Shaul is speaking to a particular Torah, family, that we must understand. He's not talking about all Torahs. He's speaking concerning the Torah of redemption. That must be understood. You see? Yes, indeed, Aki. Yes, indeed. That must be understood. He's speaking here concerning the Torah of redemption. For through Torah, or I could read, for through the Torah of redemption, I died to Torah. Okay, through the old Torah of redemption, I died to Torah in order to live to Elohim. I have been impaled with Mashiach, and I no longer live, but Mashiach lives in me. And that which I now live in the flesh, I live by belief in the servant, the Ban of Elohim, who is no other than Elohim himself, who loved me and gave himself, for me. Who gave himself? Who gave himself for Shaul? Elohim. Who is Elohim? Yahuah. Okay? Go to the book of Tehillim. It will tell you. Yahuah is Elohim. Right? And many other places in the scriptures tells us also. Right? Yahuah is Elohim. He says Elohim loved him and gave himself for him. That's what Shaul just said. So to the Christian who says that Shaul preaches Trinity, Shaul don't preach no Trinity. We got to stop lying on what's written. For this is my blood. Reading from Aki Franklin, what he posted from Yahuah chapter 26-28. For this is my blood, that of the renewed contract, which is shed for many, for the forgiveness of sins, for the forgiveness of their transgression. That's what Yahusha stated. For this is my blood, that of the renewed contract, which is shed for many, for the forgiveness of sins. Okay? To the Rabba Aki for posting that. So he says, Elohim loved him and gave himself for him. I do not set aside the favor of Elohim. For if set apartness is through the Torah of redemption, the old Torah of redemption, then Mashiach died for nothing. Is that clear what Shaul is talking about? He's talking about the people who are preaching the old contract of redemption. He's emphasizing the fact that there has been an amendment made, but you have these crooks, these self-seeking men who are trying to enslave the people to themselves. Romans 11:26, and so all Yasharal shall be saved. As it has been written, the deliverer shall come out of Zion, and he shall turn away wickedness from Yahuah. 27, and this is my contract with them when I take away their sins. Allahu Yahuah. Family, we have only just gotten to chapter 2, but I believe the book is becoming crystal clear. And we're going to stop here for this evening. I'm going to take a few minutes. I do need to shut down a little early, but I'm going to take a few minutes because we have covered quite a bit, and open up the mic just in case there are any comments or questions. All right, Mashpaka, once again, it is my hope that our study, as we continue through the book of Galatians, that it has been a baraka to you, and that if it wasn't before, that it is becoming clearer and clearer. And we are seeing that people who write off the book of Galatians and accuse Shaul of stuff, that these are people who are really ignorant to the word, even though they profess to know. Okay. Any comments or questions before we close, Mashpaka? Let me go to Akut Shar. Please go ahead, Akut Sharia.
Can I be heard?
Yes, Aki.
You know, Aki, you're crystal clear in how you're dissecting Galatians, but I think that the biggest, you know, with Christianity, what they, I guess what I'm trying to spit out is that they take this thing about the redemption, you know, through the blood. They take it to the extreme, key. In other words, you know, once you're saved for life, and you can become a murderer now. But if you accepted Jesus in your life, you're still going to heaven. That kind of crap, and where they don't acknowledge the Old Testament. And they eat all the unclean food because, hey, the New Testament absolves me from the Old Testament. You know, I accepted Jesus as my personal Savior, so no matter what I do from this point in time, I've already guaranteed my salvation. And the other comment I had that I was just telling my shop is, well, I'll tell you, I mean, I take my hat off to Shaul. What a man's man, because believe me, I'm surprised these high priests didn't try to have him killed. I mean, think about it. I mean, these high priests are, I mean, they're scavengers, and they're scavenging the poor. They're scavenging, and they're misleading people away from Yahuah, and trying to take their livestock, trying to take their goods, their food. You know, and I mean, seriously, I praise Yahuah that he protected Shaul, because I really wonder if he did try to attempt to kill him and get him you know, out of the way, because think about the greed involved. I mean, there's no question that he cost a lot of these high priests a lot of, you know, livestock and agriculture that they were normally receiving, and then when he got through to the people that, hey, look, you don't have to do this. You're redeemed through the blood. You don't have to use third party. You know, they're just scrounging from you. I mean, man almighty, I got so much admiration for Shaul. But anyways, I'll release the mic. I just wanted to interject that.
Great points you made there, Aki. Great points you made concerning even with Christianity and how they go to the extreme and lie on Shaul also. And then the other point you made about how Shaul really was messing with their economy, you know, and they really did seek to have him killed, and eventually they did have him killed. That's how corrupt those people were. They're the same men who had Yahusha killed. You see, they were very protective of their money, you know. So those are some really great points that you made. And imagine the courage that it had to take to stand up against the machine. And he did, you see. But there's some excellent points that you made indeed. I was just looking at YouTube here and I saw that Servant of Yah. I hope you're still listening, Servant of Yah. I want to clarify something. I want to make a point clear here. I hope you heard when I went to talk about even that even black, you have some black people, quote unquote, black people, that are shaitan also. Because I talked about whites being shaitan, and when I say that, I don't mean all white people, but anybody that is an adversary to the word and the will of Yahuah is shaitan. The word shaitan simply means adversary. Okay, this is not Casper the Friendly Ghost. You see what I'm saying? Where Christianity have us thinking about when you say shaitan, then the only thing you can think about is a fellow with a red suit, cup horns, and a pitchfork or something. Anybody can be shaitan, you see, at any given time. Kapha, Peter, was shaitan to the will of Yahuah when it came time for him to give up his life, and that's why Yahusha had to say to him, "Get behind me, shaitan." Christianity says that he was talking to the spirit that had came and possessed him. No, he was talking to him, because he was shaitan. He was an adversary at that moment to the will of Yahuah. You see, so anybody can be shaitan, and certainly we have a system that is shaitan. We have a system that fight against the people of Yahuah. We have a system that have enslaved the people of Yahuah. You see what I'm saying? We have nations, whole nations, that have enslaved Yahuah's people and done Yahuah's people wrong. They are shaitan. They are Satan. You see what I'm saying? But that's not to say that every white person is Satan. If you're not fighting against Yahuah's will and against Yahuah's people, no, you're not Satan. You're not shaitan. But if you are Satan. You are shaitan. You see, so they wasn't saying that, saying that all white people are shaitan. That's not the point. But I also want to clarify that misunderstanding that some people have. Praise Father Aki and Akut, Aki Yahakab Akut Sharia, who wrote, I'm just reading from YouTube. It said, great teaching, praises to Yahuah. We never knew there were separate Torahs, as the church never preached on the old contract, and we were so blind to its importance. To the Rabbah, Halahu Yahuah. Halahu Yahuah indeed. Praise Yahuah. I want to say shalom to my Aki, King Ed. Great to see you, Aki. The chance to greet you earlier. I think I did greet Akut Anitra. I want to say shalom to you. And Yashayahu, want to say shalom to you also, Aki. And also to Servant of Yah, want to say shalom to you. Anyone else that I have not greeted, just want to say shalom to you all, family. Let me go back to Zoom, see if there are any other flags. Okay, don't see a flag. Well, if there's no one else, we're going to prepare to close out on this evening. Akut Al Yashaba, are you there, Akut?
Yes, can you hear?
Yes, you can, Akut.
Wonderful teaching. I can't sit here and keep quiet in my seat without giving Yahuah his praises, because he began to open up the book, began to open up Shaul to me at age 10.
Praise Yahuah.
And I'm sitting here and I'm in such awe, listening to this wonderful lesson and enjoying it, because I have always loved Shaul's writings, because Father had given me that understanding of him, of his writings, when I was so young. And I just have to praise Father for it. And again, shalom to the Mashpachah. And I'm just sitting here in awe, because I'm so thoroughly enjoying this teaching, because I love his writing so much. I can't see how, well, I can understand why people stumble and they get all confused with his writings, but Yahuah makes it very clear to those who will understand. And I'm thinking about your statement before about what is now has already been, and how he has chosen his people from the foundation of the world, even before we were conceived, because he showed me my daughter before she was even conceived. And it's just, I just sit here in awe listening to this wonderful teaching, and praise Father for it. And so I just wanted to come to the mic to say that.
Praise Yahuah. Praise Father Akut, and it's wonderful hearing your voice as always.
Chula.
Praise Yahuah. All right, we give Yahuah praise, honor, and esteem, and it is my hope and my prayer that that this lesson, that many people out there who have been deceived by so many of these teachers that exist out there, that Yahuah will lead them to this recording, and that their eyes would be open to the facts of his word. We'll continue to study the book of Galatians, but the more we go, the more it becomes crystal clear. And so I'm looking forward to continuing. But for now, we're going to close out on this evening. Once again, I want to say shalom to you all.
Aki,
Yes, go ahead, Aki.
forgive me for interrupting. I just want, unless it's on my end, unless it's my device,
Okay.
the ending of the video for yesterday
Yeah.
was cut off.
Oh.
Only Yahuah had just finished talking and cut off. So your prayer was not heard, and the closing was not there. So I don't know if it's my device or not. I played it about at least twice, maybe 3 times, but it always cut off just right after Yahuah spoke.
Okay.
And that was it. There was no prayer, no nothing.
Is it the video on YouTube or the one on Facebook, Akut?
Yeah, the video on YouTube.
Oh, I'll have to take.
I was on YouTube.
Okay, I'll take a look at it. I'll take a look at
Yeah.
it.
I just thought you need to know.
Yes, Tuda Rabbi. Tuda.
And Aki. Thank you for the mic.
Thank you so much. Okay, so yeah, I'll check that out and see if there's something that I can do to correct. Oh, I'm sorry, Akut. I'm trying to mute you. We're both. Sorry, you go ahead. You do it.
No, that's okay. I was done. I was finished. I just want you to know that.
Okay.
Shalom. Thank you again for the mic. Shalom.
Shalom. Yeah, so yes, I'll look into that and see if there's something I can do to correct the issue. Hopefully, if it is, we'll see. Once again, family, I want to say Toda Rabba to you for your patience, Toda for the fellowship, and I want to say Shalom to Aki Al Yahu. Great to see you, Aki, and and all of the family. We're gonna prepare to close out here, and Yahuah willing, I'll be seeing you all soon. We're gonna pray and close out. Okay. Allahu Yahuah. Abba Yahuah, we thank and praise you for this time. We praise you for your word. Pray, Yahuah, that you would send your word to your people, and that your word would heal them, that your word, Father, would change and restore, and that you would redeem your elect, Abba. Pray that you would continue to watch over us and keep us, and that we would continue to seek you with our whole heart. Have your way in our lives. Make us pure, make us whole, make us fit, and make us set apart unto you. Do this, we pray, Abba. Watch over us and keep us throughout the night. Watch over our homes, our family. Keep us protected, Father. And as we travel to and from work, as we travel the highways, wherever we may go throughout the week, we pray for your protection and for your guidance. Give us wisdom, Father, more and more. Give us understanding and knowledge, we pray. Have your way in our lives, Abba. Yahusha's name. Amen. Praises to Yahuah. Well, family, Mashpaka, love you all, appreciate you all, and Yahuah willing, we'll be seeing you all soon. Shalom.
Hallelujah.
Tub family, and Yahuah willing, we'll be seeing you soon. Shalom to you all.